Hello Bishes, welcome back to another Draw With Me video. You might have noticed that the props today in this setup are darker than usual, and I have a good reason for it. But in case if you're wondering where these cool little dark hands are from, they're from IKEA, and I never really had a real reason to use them until this Draw With Me video. So today's video is probably going to be a little bit different compared to the other ones I've done so far, slightly due to the fact that it might be a little bit more negative, so there's a little warning for you if you don't want to listen to something that could potentially be negative, but I assure you I'm going to find a way to wrap this all up in a positive manner. You can already probably tell from the title that it's going to be about my toxic mindset with work, and I am pretty sure that a lot of you can relate to this to some degree, whether if it's about your art, or whatever profession you're in, or whatever you're studying to want to be someday. So I'm gonna be using a pen for this whole drawing. I actually haven't been drawing complex illustrative things in a long time, simply due to the fact that I've been overtaken by work and making my comics, working on my graphic novel, and the style of that art tends to be more cutesy and simple, and it's designed in a way where I can efficiently just draw characters, make comics, make it fast, and even for my job as a storyboard artist, I just pump out really quick drawings that are efficient for animation. But for a long time, I haven't really taken the time to draw illustrative, abstract things. Before I even attended school for animation or started working in the animation industry, back in high school, I actually just enjoyed drawing illustrations that weren't bound to a cutesy style. Sometimes I did stuff that was darker than what you would normally see me draw, and usually it's a portrayal of my emotions, and I kind of want to replicate that again, get back into that teenage mind of mine and draw those creepy dark things I used to draw, but nowadays you would rarely ever see that from me. So during my middle school to high school days, I didn't really have that many friends, and art was always my form of escape. Anytime I was done with school, I would immediately go home and try to do my homework as fast as possible so that I can be able to draw after I was done, because if I was not done doing my homework that day, that meant that I wouldn't have time for myself, and that would mean that I wouldn't have time to draw. So this was kind of a thing that existed almost ever since elementary school, but more prominent in middle school. But I had this mindset of always being like, I gotta get this thing done as soon as possible so that I can move on to the next thing that I really genuinely want to do. So this habit carried on throughout my teenage to adult years, and while it once only applied to my schoolwork at school, now it applied to my work with art, animation, and storyboards. And the way it affected me is that now I think I have a really fast shorthand with the way that I draw things. I feel like I am able to produce comics pretty quickly for someone that has a full-time job. I feel like I can draw a lot of things pretty fast, which is kind of why I'm a storyboard artist as well, because with that job you're always moving on to the next drawing, and you're not just drawing one drawing for the entire assignment, you're doing a whole sequence. So in ways I feel like drawing fast and working fast is really beneficial for a pipeline at work. And while there certainly are people out there who would love to gain the ability to work fast and do things on time, of course, having that ability to get things done quickly comes with a precaution, because, I think any extreme of anything is too bad. There has to be some level of moderation to maintain things, kind of like a diet. It's never good to just eat only junk food, and it's never good to just restrict yourself and only eat healthy stuff if you're not enjoying yourself. So for me personally, whenever I finished working on something quickly, I would just sit there and be like, wow, I have so much time left in the day to do so many other things. But when I sit there and let that time sit around and do nothing, I feel like it becomes a waste of time. So then I start piling more self-made work for myself, which is kind of what my Instagram was during the time of my unemployment, because I needed something to fill in that void. But during that time, I thought it was a good thing. But you know, there are times in life where you just think, oh, just because you have an empty slot of time available, why not put in something to just fill it up, even though I just already worked 12 hours of the day, you know? I feel like a lot of artists can agree with this, but your self-worth usually is heavily tied with your work because it's something that you put your passion into. So when someone criticizes it, or if you yourself don't like it, or you don't like the pace of how you are working or getting things done with your art or work, it really just fucks with your self-esteem, confidence, and anytime you're just not having a good time with your art, whether if it's through the actual skill level that you're at or how much of it that you're doing, you just get really upset with yourself and feel like you're wasting your time if you're not putting that time into your passion. So I feel like all artists have that demon inside their head that tells them that their work is not good enough, you could do better than this, but you suck, and whatnot, and if your work is shit, you're shit. But I feel like as of lately, the monster that's in my head is more of a robot than a monster. I feel like, yes, I still sometimes have self-esteem issues with my skill level or my abilities, but I feel like it's more of the robot in my head now telling me that I'm not doing enough, more so than you're not drawing well enough. To put that into much simpler terms, what I'm saying is now you're tying your self-worth to not just your skill level, but to your productivity levels. So it's that feeling that you get when you're hanging out with your friends or family, or you're on a vacation, but suddenly you're hit with the feeling of guilt because you're chilling, you're relaxing, and you're not spending time working on things or keeping up with the consistency of your schedule of work. It's interesting because a lot of the things that I say I have to do aren't really things that I have to do. I could just do my daytime job and put that aside when the day is over and do my own thing for relaxation and fun, but instead I choose to make comics on Instagram. I want to make videos on YouTube. I want to publish a graphic novel, and there are just other side projects that I'm really interested in partaking. But at the end of the day, it's not really realistic to think that you can do all of these things perfectly by yourself. And while these are all things that I do want to do and I genuinely want to do, it's more about the strictness of the upkeep of them that I feel like I put on myself that can sometimes get a little toxic. Because while I do like making comics from my personal stories and making YouTube videos for fun, and finally having the chance to work on a graphic novel in which, you know, my 12-year-old self would shit her pants if she found out about that, there's no one other than me who is putting on these heavy expectations on myself, where I tell myself that I'm gonna post a comic once a week, I'm gonna post a YouTube video once a week, on top of that I'm gonna be working on a few pages on my graphic novel, on top of my full-time job that already takes up 40 hours of my week. I can't believe there was also a time in life where I posted comics on Instagram 2 to 3 times a week. Honestly, if I could go back in time, I would have told myself to save those comics, don't post them, and just post only once a week, so I would have had a surplus to post throughout time. While I do pile on a lot of projects for myself to do, one thing that I feel like I can't give up is my strive for some sort of balance. So even though I do give myself a lot of work to do, I still work out, I still eat healthy, I try to sleep early, and if I can't get something done on time one night, I'm going to probably still choose sleep over working until 4 a.m. But I feel like the things that I do miss out on by treating myself like a machine is stuff like just having moments just with my sister or my boyfriend or my family or friends, just sitting around and hanging out and talking about whatever. Like, yes, I do allocate time on the weekends for that, but I feel like I should have more moments like that in life that are just not allocated on the weekends, although, you know, weekdays are often associated with work days, and weekends are often associated with having fun and not working. But I feel like there can be a balance where on the weekdays you can find enjoyment in your personal hobbies, your relationships with people, or just learning about things that have nothing to do with your profession. And the part of that I'm still personally working on myself is trying to not feel guilty when I do indulge in those moments in life on the weekdays. And, you know, if after 7 p.m. I don't want to work anymore and I want to, you know, learn a subject, sit and chat with my sister or whatever, I want to let that happen without feeling like, ugh, I should really get this shit done. And if I were to cycle all of this back to where this all comes from, I feel like it's because when I was a little kid, drawing and art was pretty much the only thing that ever seemed to have made me feel valuable or worthy. Like, if you're in your class and you're the only artist, everyone's just like, oh my god, it's so cool that you can draw like this. Like, oh my god, I'm so jealous. And you're just like, yes, yes, bow down, bitches. Okay, but seriously, even though I am super grateful to be where I am in life right now with my art and career, I just wanted to still talk about some of the moments in life where I feel like, oh my god, I feel like I'm just a fucking robot or machine just producing stuff in an assembly line and there's no heart and soul being poured into it. I feel like if anything, it's good to be in a place where you can even notice your problems so that you can do something about it, which is what I did the past 2 to 3-ish weeks, I guess. So if you haven't noticed, I haven't posted a video the past 2 weeks. I actually didn't even mean to not post this video because I meant to post this video 2 to 3 weeks ago, but I wasn't able to. I guess that's how the stars align for us to have this video with this subject matter posted today. So even though I talk about the subjects of work-life balance and living your life on my YouTube channel and my Instagram and whatnot, I feel like just because I talk about something doesn't always mean, oh, I'm a perfect person in this subject matter, or I'm a professional in this subject matter. I'm not a professional in work-life balance, nor am I perfect at it, nor do I think anyone is really. I just feel like having these ideals can be like a North Star or a guide. It will help lead you in the right direction, but you might never really fully obtain it perfectly because life is always going to be changing. You're always going to be in a different position in life, so you can't really guarantee that you'll never experience burnout again or you'll never overwork again. Like, yes, those moments might still happen in the future, but hopefully that next time in the future you won't let this thing called productivity or overworking be that robot in your head. Keep defining your self-worth in the future, and you'll be taking baby steps every time it happens again to let it define you less and less, and someday you'll just be like, fuck it, I'm not working on this comic, I'm gonna go play badminton with my friends. So just to quickly summarize, the past 2 months or so, I've been pretty busy with this new project that I've taken on, and although I think it's a great learning experience, it definitely is more time consuming than any project I've been on before, and because of that, I don't really have as much time to work on my comics or videos, and I thought that, hey, I have this 1 week where I'm about to go on a road trip with my parents, and I could use that time to work on my videos and comics, right? And while I was in the middle of packing, I actually thought to myself again, hey Michelle, you're about to, you know, go on a road trip with your parents and spend this quality time that you'll probably never get back again. Are you really going to treat this special week in your life like a regular work week? And after thinking for about probably 30 seconds, I was just like, hey, I don't need to work on my comic. I don't need to work on this video, although I know that there are people out there who look forward to reading my comics or watching my videos, but I also know that it's not the end of the world if I don't post a video or post a comic. Like, yes, I eventually will again, but I'm pretty sure no one will really mind if I decided to take just a few weeks of a break to recharge my soul. So within that moment in time, I just decided I'm not going to pack my laptop, I'm not going to pack my iPad, I'm not going to bring anything that can even allow me to work on something on this trip, so that all I could focus on was just spending time with my family. And if there was any downtime, I just brought a book to read to rethink my life and whatnot. So I always think trips are a great way to kind of reinvent yourself or allow that time to let your soul and mind wander around. Like, you need those moments in time where you're not working and putting yourself in autopilot so you can wander around like these hands. Just let your mind go to different places and think of different things so that you can rethink the things that you've always been doing, and maybe that there are better ways to be doing the things you've been doing, or there's a better way to take care of yourself. But yeah, it's weird because I feel like even though I went on this whole spiel about how your productivity levels can heavily impact your feelings of self-worth, sometimes the simple thing you just had to do was to just walk out of it, take a step out, and just place yourself in an environment where you can't even grab the tools that you normally need to work. I feel like this is a topic that can be talked about forever, just because I honestly feel like there's really no resolution to a situation like this, just because I feel like it's just something that we're always going to be living with that feeling of just feeling like we need to keep doing something to feel valuable. But just know that you are not tied to your profession, you're not tied to your work, and the people that matter the most to you oftentimes aren't even really the people that care about the version of you that is working all the time. So that's a little thing I like to remember. I hope this video was relatable to some of y'all, and I hope you learned something from it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. So stay wholesome, bitches.